Hi, everybody. Welcome to our second episode of What's Up with FinTech series. My name is Kimberly, and this time we will learn more about leading and challenging your teams. I'm thrilled to introduce my friend Eric Birkfield. He's the Director of Engineering Operations at mindtouch in San Diego. Hey, Eric, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Kimberly. Thank you for having me.
It's very cool to meet you. It's all yours.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Birkfield. I am the Director of Operations at mindtouch and a Principal at Brightco Solutions. And today we're going to talk about leading and challenging your teams directly. So what does that mean? Well, leading your teams and making sure that the right seats are the right butts are in the right seat at the right time, working on the right things. It's really it. Do we have the right people working on the right things at the right time? It is such a critical question that we have to be asking all the time. So I focus on making sure that not only is everybody sitting in those seats, but that they also have an opportunity to be happy and healthy and follow their passion. And the overall goal is to shoot for the idea that 10 years from now, anybody on your team can look back and say, that was a great stop on my career trajectory. So it's super important, right? We have these people in our offices building our products every day. And I feel that traditionally we haven't always looked out for them. We haven't always thought, are they happy doing what they're doing? And as we start to get into the technology here, it's critical that everybody's happy, or at least most of the time. So before I start, I just want to say thank you to ArkusNexus and especially Kimberly for putting this on. It's really important, and the work that you're doing in the community is very loud and very obvious, and we're very happy to see it. I'd also like to thank mindtouch, because without mindtouch and without their great engineering team, I wouldn't be allowed to do what I do and learn and grow every day. And also to thank goes out to 7 CTOs for bringing great minds and great technology communities together time and time again. Cool, so let's get started. Let's talk about FinTech. Huge industry, $20 billion global investment in 2017, 2018. They service a very highly regulated financial institution and e-commerce solutions, and these have potential for major market and transaction disruptions. It is a super, super regulated avenue, and messing with my money is like messing with my emotions. So what do I mean by that? Well, with FinTech, you have a lot of different technology. And like any other technology avenue, FinTech, lab tech, law tech, biotech, med device, any of this, these technologies can cripple your progression as a company if you don't have the eye on the ball. So we've got stuff like big data and compliance and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. There's so many technology choices and paradigms to follow, and each with its own nuance and heavy compliance and regulatory concerns, that you need to make absolutely critically sure that not only do you have smart people, but you have people that are happy to be there and they're willing to put in the extra energy and time to follow the nuance. For instance, if you have somebody that overlooks a piece of code that's critical to your compliance, you may lose your compliance, and that can cost your company many, many dollars. If you have somebody that says, I'll get to it later, they can't be bothered, they're not passionate enough. This all leads to the potential that you miss the bus, that you miss the opportunity to capitalize on a certain technology, or you miss a window of opportunity to bring your company to a place where your IP in that technology sets you aside and differentiates yourself. So again, we have a technology that's highly regulated, has the potential to be a huge disruptor, and if you don't have the right people working on this all the time, you potentially lose. So from my point of view, your team needs to be charged and passionate and happily focused on the goals as much of the time as possible. And we as leaders, this is what we're responsible for. So one of the things that I do is I ask my team often, how far are you off? I ask myself often, how far am I off? How far are we off from being a high-performing team? How far am I off from being a good, intentional leader? The image that you're looking at right now is one of the winningest sports teams in all of history, in all of sports history. It's the New Zealand All Blacks, and they are a rugby team. And the book in the bottom left-hand corner is written by James Kerr, and it's called Legacy. And what this book is about is it's about the teamsmanship. It's about the values that this team follows to make sure that they are a high-performing team at every point in the game. And why I chose this is because I think it's super valuable that your values and your mission follow not only the team, but how you distribute work to the team. And making sure that you as a leader are constantly asking, how far is my team off, allows you to flexibly diagnose parts of your team that are ripe for continuous improvement. And constantly asking your team, what can we do better, is the core of Agile. And in this day and age where Agile is such a buzzword and the Agile paradigms are at play at every stop, it's the continuous improvement here that sets us apart. And by consistently asking, how far are we off, we set our team up to continuously improve and increase our success. So what does that mean for me at mindtouch? Well, I did an exercise with the team about 1.5 years ago, and we went through and we took a bunch of values, we read a book, we synthesized what we felt was the most important things to have on our team to make sure our team was firing on all cylinders and that we would consider ourselves high performing. And we are looking at this all the time so that we can hold ourselves and the work we do and our teammates up to this mantra and make sure that we have a reason that we do what we do. So you can read it. We are a passionate engineering team focused on continuously improving our software, ourselves, and each other. Pretty simple, pretty obvious, but when you don't have something obvious like this that sits in front of everybody, that's visible, that's up on a wall, you tend to forget your values and you tend to take shortcuts. And you tend maybe not to look after your fellow teammates, or sometimes even yourselves. You forget to breathe. You're working so hard that you forget to challenge yourself and then try to improve yourself. All this can potentially add up to cruft and tech debt and missing opportunities on the technical front. It also adds up to us potentially missing opportunities in growing ourselves, or us as leaders being able to grow our team. So there's always reasons for us to ask, how are we doing? And there's always reasons for us to make sure that we are on point and embracing the why of what we're doing. Why are we doing this? And that's the main focus of this presentation, is by creating a why with the team. And I know you've heard this before, start with why, but I truly believe the why. And I don't mean just the why for the business, but also the why for yourself. Why are you here right now? Why are you creating software? Why are you helping us nudge technology forward in this industry when you could be somewhere else? And if you're comfortable with that focus and you're comfortable with that why, then there's a self-actualization there that truly creates an easier way for you to assert your expertise. And if your team does not believe in what they do and they don't understand how what they do helps the greater good, then they're not going to find a purpose in their work and they'll potentially wither away. And that's something I've seen over and over again. So the biggest things that I do to focus my team is really, I take 3 measures here. And the first is critical in everything I do and every day that I come to work and every day that I'm not at work thinking about work. And I look to partner for success with my team. I read a book called Helping Others Win at Work by Gary Ridge, who's the CEO of WD-40 in San Diego, and just a brilliant man, and Ken Blanchard as well, who's the author of The 1 Minute Manager. These guys wrote this book called Helping Others Win at Work, and they use this mantra, don't just mark my paper, but help me get an A. And the concept of that truly stood out, is that's the partnership for success. I'm not just hiring people to make technical decisions and do technical work. But as a leader, I'm helping them make those best technical decisions and do their best possible work. And that's critical here, is understanding your teams and the individual passions of your teammates to be flexible as a leader in order to help them truly help them truly be excellent. And that to me is everything about being a servant leader. You're here to serve them and lead them. So the partnership for success is critical. And if you just throw people into a work area and say, go do work, you don't know what's going to come out on the other side. But if you're taking the time to individually partner with these people, you truly can start to gauge the success and see where maybe you're short and where you need to coax it back on the rails and where you can continuously improve. Number two is to challenge them directly. Again, I read another awesome book called Radical Candor, and I am blown away by this concept of challenging directly. And it's something that I've been doing my entire career, but I never really put the words to it. And challenging directly means that I actually am looking at the individual person, what their strong suits are, what their passion is, what do they want out of life, what do they want at the company. And I help them make decisions, and I help guide them so that they're challenged. Because if they're not challenging themselves, then they're also withering. If they're not innovating, they are withering. And when you have engineers on your team that wither, you often have attrition. So how do I challenge directly? Well, one is I opened everything up to celebration. So if you don't have some celebration at the end of your challenge, then you're probably not going to challenge yourself. If you can't rest assured the work that you did is successful, then you're probably not going to want to keep doing that work. So I take every opportunity that I can to celebrate. And we'll talk about the celebration in just a second. I want to go really into the challenging directly. And one of the questions that I ask my team is, did you really come all this way just to come all this way? Like, did you do all this work in your career just to end up here and just stop pushing, stop reaching for the top, stop innovating, stop creating a better tomorrow for yourself? The answer is no, always. Nobody really does that. I mean, it's okay if they do, but when you have a high-performing team and when we need to keep pushing, that just means that person's probably not the right person on your team. So as a leader, it's my opportunity and my pleasure to take my team and say, you didn't come all this way to come all this way, so what can we do to get you further? We challenge them directly. What do you want to do, and how can I help you? How can I get out of your way? How can I clear the runway? So one of the ways that I do this is through one-on-ones. Individual one-on-ones with my team is an opportunity for me to truly understand where their strength is, truly understand where their passion is, and the passions change. Just as technologies change, passions change. So I'm often wanting to check in with them and say, is the passion the same? Are you still headed in this direction? What can we do? So we're in the one-on-ones. How am I challenging my team? What can I do to challenge them? Well, the first thing that I can do is I can give them SMART goals and work with them on SMART goals because they're small and they're smart. So what's a SMART goal? A SMART goal is a specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goal. And this is why I believe in SMART goals. Oftentimes, we live the life, especially around New Year's, hey, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and this. Then I just have these big, lofty goals. And for me specifically, most of the time, I don't get those goals done when I do those. I'm boiling the ocean. They're too big and they're too unrealistic. And then I self-flagellate. I beat myself up because I didn't get my goal done. So when I think about that in the team, I often hear that. Hey, what do you want to do in the next quarter? Oh, I want to go learn a new language, or I want to rewrite our entire system. That sounds great, but I think that those are really big. And the chances that you get to achieve that usually are slim unless we can clear, unless there's a true business value and we can clear the runway for you. If you're doing this alongside the work that you're already doing, the chances of context switching and successfully navigating that goal is unrealistic. So what we try to do is we try to break these down into smaller things. Some of the goals that we've seen over the last couple of weeks here in mindtouch is creating a presentation around a specific technology that maybe the rest of the team doesn't know. And these can be small, timely goals where maybe it's in 30 days. In 30 days, I'm going to create this presentation. I'm going to put it in a lunch and learn format, and I'm going to measure it and make sure that the team understands this. I'm going to take a course, or I'm going to apply for a certification. I'm going to outline a new process at work or potentially improve an existing process. And all the time, I'm going to put measurements on this. So the key here is that each one of these has to be made measurable. If we can't measure these things, we can't see success. And really, it's critical that, one, we don't bite off more than we chew, and two, that we're able to achieve success in these as much as possible. Because what this is doing is this is building up the self-actualization of each of your team members. This is building up their trust in themselves to take this on and achieve what they want to achieve. So let's talk about autonomy, mastery, and purpose, and more specific, the purpose part. So Daniel Pink wrote a book called Drive, and what he did was he talked about the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic reward. So from an extrinsic side, Eric, do this 10 times in half an hour and I'll give you a raise, and if you don't do it, you're fired. And there's a lot of opportunities in jobs out there that offer opportunities where that is how they run. That's the reward. Sales is a great example. Sell this much, or you're not going to be selling here. And I think that doesn't really add to a lot of purpose, especially when we look at the technology side of the house, where engineers, it's way more creative and subjective. We're telling you to build something. We're telling you to build some technology that helps push FinTech along. And maybe you're building technology in a greenfield space where nothing is there. We need you to innovate. So how can you extrinsically reward somebody there? You have to push them. So what we say is we hope that they find purpose in there so that they're intrinsically rewarded. They feel good about what they're doing. This is truly how we partner for success too, is by allowing them to take on opportunities and find purpose in them and succeed, to master the technologies, to be autonomous, to direct how they do it, and then to find purpose and creating something that's potentially larger than themselves, and working with others to potentially create something that's even larger than the team and the company. So as a leader, it's our opportunity to make people feel safe to fail and succeed, and create safety at work. And that also adds to this purpose. They feel good coming to work. So in the beginning of this conversation, we talked about finding the right people in the right seats doing the right work. Well, that's great. Getting the right people, that's hard in and of itself. But now let's say you have those right people. If you don't give them purpose, the chances that they're going to stick in those seats, probably not very good, at least not for very long. And there's a lot of burn there for you. You potentially lose IP and knowledge and domain experience if those people leave. So it behooves us to really work with our team to make sure that they have purpose, that they're finding purpose, and that they feel like they are delivering value and contributing something larger than themselves. And that's the self-actualization. So I challenge my team, and it is a challenge of every team, to build that oneness, to have that collective character, but be an individual within it. And I really feel like if you can get that culture right, the results will follow. So we talk about celebrations, and this is critical too. I find many companies, I ask companies every day, how do you celebrate? Tell me how you celebrate when something goes well. Tell me about how you celebrate an individual or a team, or how do you make somebody know that their code made it into the right hands, is being used, and is working? And when you can do this, you inspire them to do something bigger than themselves. That's the key. If people come to work and they're inspired to do something bigger than themselves, you have hearts and minds of everyone. And I don't think it takes a lot. I just think it takes work. It's just something that we're not always in the habit of doing. Being able to walk and give pats on the back, call somebody out in the middle of a stand-up, or in a sprint planning, or just in the middle of the day. Hey, so-and-so, you did a great job. Thank you so much. The company's better for having you here. The team's better. You pushed really good code, or you identified a defect before the customer did. Awesome work. Sometimes we let that stuff pass without acknowledgement. And I can tell you that the people that do it, that don't get acknowledgement, know that they are not being acknowledged. Donuts after a sprint. Sounds easy, has a lot of weight. You bring donuts or bagels or some sort of food after a sprint and congratulate the team for successful work. They get to sit around the donuts and talk. They get to interact with each other. The leaders are there. The stakeholders are there. Thank you all for doing what you're doing. You truly are contributing to this company. That goes a long way. Those people go home over the weekend and they really recognize that they've been acknowledged, and that helps completely increase their emotional bank accounts. They come to work on Monday charged and ready to do more. Singling somebody out for praise, that's always big, but you got to watch out, and you have to be flexible in how you diagnose people's personas, because some people don't want to be singled out. Some people don't like the praise. But I can tell you that even the people that don't like the praise, what they do want to know is that there is code efficacy. They want to know that their code is actually making it. So if you can, at least even in a one-on-one, present a go-to-market strategy for somebody's code. And what I mean by go-to-market strategy is not only external to a customer, I also mean internally. Maybe your team's working, or an individual teammate's working on a report for your sales team. And oftentimes they'll get the report goes to the sales team, and then they never hear back. Or maybe there's just okay, got it, okay, great. But there's no successful completion, there's no celebration there. So I urge you as a leader to look for opportunities there. Look for opportunities to celebrate that transference of code or feature or function, to make sure that the engineer knows about it. Because I can tell you, in most of the companies that I've seen, the engineers are on one side of the building and the rest of the companies on the other side of the building. And there is a lot of assumption and taken for granted that they're just going to do what we ask them to do. And they feel that. We feel that. So as a leader or leaders, it's the opportunity here to celebrate this and make sure that these people feel good, will set you up for success, and really, really take the team a long way. So as I bring this to a close, Simon Sinek, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, says it's better to have a great team than a team of greats. And I can tell you, through my experience, this is absolutely true. I've worked with many teams where we've had very, very bright stars. And some of those teams, those stars didn't necessarily work in the solar system at all. And when you have that opportunity, or you have that dysfunction rather in a team, you lose the opportunity to synergize, to share knowledge, to increase each other, to create more opportunity, and ultimately to bring new people into your team and help them to success. And that's the key. We want to continue building our teams. We want to continue making our teams successful, and we don't want to stop. So I urge you all as leaders to partner for success with your team, to challenge them directly, and to celebrate them often. And I am confident that the technology will keep moving, your success as a company will keep moving, and the industry as a whole will keep becoming more healthy, and we'll have higher performing teams. So thanks so much. My name is Eric Berkfeld. You can reach me at Eric@BrightCoastSolutions, and you can also reach me at Eric Berkfeld on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your thoughts or any feedback that you may have.
Hey, Eric?
Yes.
You're still there?
Yep.
It is such a delight to listening to you, because you're so focused on the purpose of the employee, and it is so important. People need a purpose in life, and we also need it at work. And some leaders don't even think about that. It's so good to hear you speak about that. It gives me the chills, because I work in a company that does that. Our leaders celebrate with us, they give us purpose, and we feel good that they do that with us. So once again, Eric, thank you so much for participating in this live stream.
And my pleasure.
Sorry?
I said it's been my pleasure.
Oh, it has been mine too. It was really good to have you. We hope to have you some other time later. And thank you so much. Please follow our friend Eric so you can know about his activities and his presentations. And also you can find me on LinkedIn as Kimberly De Hoyos, so you can know about our next live stream. That we actually know our next topic, our next month topic will be cryptocurrencies. So stay tuned, and thank you once again, Eric. Thank you for watching, everybody, and see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.